Welcome to the Good Karma Sportfishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Strange things are happening out there in the ocean. First, why am I recording this podcast on a Friday morning and why am I not out fishing? Because it's windy. Plain and simple. Seas are nasty this morning. We have a small craft, easterly wind, and it's just a mess out there. So my clients and I, we work together, and we're probably going to reschedule for the end of July, which is when my next available opening is. So my next available opening, I believe, is July 27th. Now, that may change between now and over the weekend with bookings. And if you're looking to fish with me in the fall and into early winter, when I say early winter, December and January, you're going to need to make your reservations well in advance this year, because a lot of people have a lot of free time on their hands, and a lot of flexibility as far as work goes and scheduling with kids as far as their school goes this year. So people are already starting to plan their vacations in the Florida Keys, which is awesome. So I really appreciate you guys booking with me well in advance. Thank you guys for supporting Good Karma Sportfishing and those that are supporting the podcast as well by purchasing the courses that I'm putting out for you guys and other stuff. So writing the reviews, joining the Facebook group, putting up fishing reports that are detailed. I want to thank the guys that are putting up the reports in the private Facebook group. It's private for a reason, because we're sharing information in there that we don't need shared outside that group. So it's for the Good Karma Sportfishing podcast listeners and those that support the podcast. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I like the way the community is being built and the way you guys share information. So I will continue to do the same. So no worry. So my next course I'm going to release over the next couple days is going to be my double rigged Wahoo rig. Now you can also use that for trolling for grouper as well, which I'm going to talk about here in just a few seconds, is trolling for red groupers and black groupers. The video, I'm going to show you how I rig titanium double rig ballyhoo. So I will announce the release of that video for sale on the Good Karma Sportfishing Tackle.com website, here through the Facebook group and probably through Instagram. So far, I have the Chum ball course on the site, which has my special recipe and also other tips. This mix is help me catch a lot of larger fish. Now, you can also use this mix for slop and heavy current. And what you do with the slop is you throw the slop in the water with the tide and you feed your bait back with the slop. It works extremely well when the water is blue and the current's ripping. And I have a video of that, I think, on Instagram somewhere, of that in action. And on the particular day that I filmed that video, we caught 2 big black groupers with the one of my top clients, who's the owner of Tavernier Creek Marina and the Creekside Inn down here in Tavernier. So anyway, so the stuff works really well, and it's for sale on there, and the price is, I think it's $39. Now I'm going to be raising that price here for that video in the next coming week. So if you want to get it, you're going to have to get it soon at that price, because I'm going to bump it up. Okay, let's talk about trolling for groupers, because I'm sure everybody wants to get a really good fishing tip here. And grouper fishing right now is starting to get a little challenging, so this is why I'm talking about it. Trolling for groupers in the Keys is a little tricky, okay? But it's not so tricky anywhere else. Guys do it all the time, especially up in Miami. They do it because you got to cover some water to hit those rock piles. But the guys down here, they do it a lot for red groupers. I don't do a lot of it, so hence why I'm going to use somebody else's suggestion, okay? So I got an email a while back, and I talked about it, from Brian Wallace. He's a biology teacher in Naples, and he trolls a lot for gag groupers, and he's really good at it. And I asked Brian to share with the guys that are in the Facebook group how he does it, because that's what the Good Karma Fishing podcast is all about, is giving back. So Brian was so kind, and he posted a really nice report in the Facebook group for the guys that belong in the group. Now, I went ahead and printed off the report that he wrote. It's awesome. And here's what Brian had to say about trolling, about how he does it. So first, he allows for a natural lure action away from the planer. So that means he's setting back the bait quite a distance using a shock leader. Now, it just varies. When he says he's setting the bait back a ways, that means he's like, it could be 60 foot, it could be 100 and some odd foot. It just depends, okay? And he's using a shock leader for that. Now, it's similar to inline planer fishing, in other words. So you're setting back 120 foot using 60-pound fluoro or mono or whatever. So by setting the lure way back away from the planer wash, it allows for time. He writes in step 2, he says it allows time for the fish to look after being initially attracted by the pressure wave from the planer. I'm going to say that again. Attracted by the pressure wave from the planer. Brian is a biology teacher. He gets it, okay? Really good fishermen are scientists. They use the science of fishing. Now, by studying the science of a fish, you understand how fish hunt. Lateral lines of fish, okay? Just different things about the fish and how they hunt. That's where Brian mentions fish are attracted by the pressure wave from the planer. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let you guys do some scientific digging on that. Now, Brian also says that he gets at least 5 times more strikes with planers, and then he says he gets 10 times more bites running planers with most guys are using the large lip plugs rather than planers, okay? But what he's doing, he's using the big trolling plugs with shallow divers, okay? And those don't pull as hard as the deep lip plugs, okay? So what he's doing is that he's running the planers with those big, large lip plugs. I'm sorry, not lip plugs, but shallow water lip plugs, okay, which are lighter and pull less than the heavy deep divers, okay? And you can run those off your planers, guys. Now, those are rated for only diving 2 to 3 feet because they're lighter, okay? Those heavy deep diving plugs like the Nomads, they dive, okay, they pull hard, but you're not getting them down to the strike zone, okay? And you're losing that by not putting a planer down, like Brian says, you're not getting that pressure wave that he mentions, okay? Brian has this down to a science, guys. You have to get that fish to know that something's above him. And he uses that planer as an attractant, which I've mentioned several times in the past, okay? Especially groupers. Now, groupers are in their rocks, in their layers, and you want to get them out of their holes. Now, it's got to be something of significance to attract them, okay? And a diving plug alone is not enough sometimes. You're passing by fish. Now, if you have that planer there, you're going to be able to get that bait deeper. For example, okay, you're in the Keys. I would target, if I were in the Keys and I wanted to target black groupers, it would be 60 to 100 foot, okay? And what you need is a number 8 Old Salty, and you need to get a planer rod, okay, a number 8 Old Salty planer, or number 6. And you need to get a shallow water diving lure. Okay, the absolute best, and I'm going to tell you something, and something I haven't shared, is I've caught a number of groupers on those Halico 190 lures that I use for wahoo fishing when I accidentally run my planer in shallow into like 80 to 60 foot because I'm running a number 8 Old Salty. That thing is getting deep, okay? I'm making the turn slow, which allows that planer to dive deeper. Now, when you're trolling number 8 Old Salties, you slow the speed down, and you're going to get that, and depending on how far back you let the planer or what type of shock leader you have, you're sending that bait deeper, so you're going to be able to be you're going to be able to destroy some groupers in there. So, like I said, I don't do much of that because I really don't like to be honest with you, and I like to do other things for groupers. I don't like to troll for them, but if you're coming to the Keys and you're familiar with trolling and you don't want to deal with dead bait, it's a great way to destroy red groupers. It's really awesome. It's just personally not for my style of fishing. But I would highly suggest you guys get going on this, because I'm seeing guys that are catching some really nice red groupers south by Alligator. Okay, and if you guys want to step it up, then get your planer systems down. Bring them down from, because I know most of you guys are planer fishermen from either the Gulf or from up around Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale. You guys are in Miami. You guys are diehard planer guys. Bring that system down here, okay? Get yourself in around about 60 to 70 foot of water. And if you can do it, run 100 foot, and then you're going to have to run larger planers to get down to those depths, okay? And then long shock leaders, and then run a shallow water plug. Now you can, the best thing for you guys to do is go onto my website, onto my tackle shop site, and get the 190s off, 190 Halco Laser Pros, or you can buy those Rapalas that are shallow water divers. Now you just got to be careful, because you have to figure out the right plug for this, because if you're going to pull too hard off your planer, you're going to trip it, and there's all sorts of stuff you guys are going to have to figure out with this, but it really works. Now, another thing is that works very well in South Miami down to the Keys is trolling planers with double rig ballyhoo, titanium leader or wire off sea witches for wahoo. I'm sorry, not for wahoo, but it works for wahoo too, but for black groupers, okay? Works awesome. It works for red groupers. And you catch muttons on that stuff, but it's done a lot in Miami. You can pick out, you got to have all sorts of various types of skirts to do this and figure it out, but the standard skirt down here is the blue and white one for black groupers, and you can tear them up if you figure out where they're at, but you have to do some exploring and figure out what reefs they're on, and you got to be careful down here because you got guys that are chumming and all that good stuff, and there's lots of obstructions from derelict crab pots and stuff left over from Irma still. So you just have to be careful when you're trolling in shallow, but you guys just can do that. But I would do that using planers over inline leads, which I think are I don't like inline leads personally. But anyhow, Brian, so yeah, he apologized. He goes, sorry for the long-winded report. It's out of his comfort zone. Brother, how do you think I feel doing this podcast some days? It's taken a few years to get comfortable even sharing knowledge for folks, but I really do want people to be better. And I really thank you, Brian, for sharing that report. But those are the type of things that you can find in our group. Okay, guys that are willing to share information, like Brian. So the plugs I would recommend for this type of fishing are the Halco Laser Pros. They pull the best with planers, I believe. And the colors I would recommend are the mullet color and the baitfish color. Now the baitfish color you can find through just go to my store at goodkarmafishingtackle.com and then click on the link, and that'll take you to the Halcos that I buy the link from, and then you'll see all of the colors. And just get a variety of different colors, because you just don't know. Groupers, I've heard, from what I know, they get color picky. I don't know. I hear all sorts of stuff, but you got to kind of match the colors. What colors would I pick for green water? I would pick the mullet color, because you got to match that green. That green mullet color works very well for groupers. I've caught several blacks on that. On that, and I've caught muttons actually on that just by accident without even trying. So that tells you how effective they are. And I've caught them on the old blue and white. You use the blue and whites when the water's blue and there's lots of flyers around and bait fish, but really the water's really green, can be green down here this time of year. And if you want to catch some, then I would get that mullet color. You're going to catch a lot of groupers with that. Now, going into the patch reefs with this type of fishing, you're going in there at your own risk, because there's just a lot more stuff you're going to get hung on. I would target the deeper reefs, 60 to 100 foot. Change out your planers. Make sure you got the right rods for that stuff, because it is tricky. Don't try to copy my setup yet. I'm getting people that are emailing me, and they're not. My setup's very unique, and I haven't shared all the information that it takes to run planers at high speed because there's just so much detail. And I actually have to get my mechanic involved to show you guys, and which leads me to another video I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you guys, and it's going to be for sale, exactly how I set up my downrigger and how I run it. Because I have to get a mechanic involved, that's how tricky it is, because I've lost downriggers, I've busted stuff I shouldn't bust, and there's just a lot of information. It would take me to write an email and to show you guys. It takes me too long, and this is going to be a lot of in-depth information, but once it's out there, you're going to be able to know exactly what I do, and you're going to have it. But that's going to be another video I'm going to be doing for sale on the site. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Please follow me on Instagram at Good Karma Sportfishing _FL_keys. And for charter boat fishing information, you can check out my website, www.goodkarmasportfishing.com. And please make sure you check out my tackle shop. Everything I put in there is what I use, okay? No weird stuff. Everything in there is what I use. That's goodkarmafishingtackle.com. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good. And one other thing, leave the small fish for the boat behind you. Have a good weekend, guys.